My hands still tremble weeks after that day. I've rewritten this opening countless times, staring at the blank screen until my eyes burned. Everyone's asleep in this old family house, my childhood home, now our temporary refuge, and I'm in the quiet, chilly conservatory, hunched over my phone. Moonlight paints the panes silver. It's the only place I can breathe, where his words can't quite reach me. Connor is back at our city apartment, oblivious, I hope. Or at least, I'm trying to make him oblivious. He called me 3 times in the last hour, asking if I was okay. The irony, y'all, is on a new level. Connor and I have been partners for 4 years, married for 2. I thought he was the perfect blend of ambition and charm. Not from old money like my family, but he had drive, a clear vision. My family, the Wellingtons, has generations of philanthropic involvement. Our name is synonymous with the Wellington Heritage Foundation, a nonprofit channeling ancestral wealth into community development and arts patronage. Connor seemed genuinely excited, eager to contribute. He'd even landed a coveted junior directorship on a key initiative last year, a position my father, Mr. Wellington, had championed. He always seemed different from the polished, cynical men I met at galas, grounded, earnest, passionate about impact, not just fortune. We just celebrated our 2nd anniversary at our favorite Italian spot. He held my hand, talked about our future, starting a family, when the time was right, and his foundation work was established. He looked sincere, devoted. I believed him completely. Then came the retreat, a mandatory leadership retreat for emerging philanthropic leaders, sponsored by a rival foundation. I'd been selected for a keynote, a major honor. Connor encouraged me, proud of my independent career trajectory. He drove me to the airport at dawn. My flight was delayed. Then my segment bumped up after a speaker had an emergency. I finished early, catching an unexpected midday flight back, planning to surprise Connor by tidying his chaotic home office. A gesture I knew he'd appreciate after a week of important meetings. I let myself into our apartment quietly. The building was hushed, midday light muted. I heard Connor's voice, a low, intense murmur from his office. I paused, smiling, picturing him engrossed in a project. I set my bag down, kicked off my heels, and padded silently towards the office door. Then, I heard it more clearly, a cold edge to his voice I'd never heard. Look, Danny, it's all set. The Wellington Foundation's new Sustainable Energy Fund is practically a blank check. Natalie's the key, her name, her connections, open every door. Without her, this whole thing crumbles. I froze, hands suspended. My heart, warm moments ago, turned to ice. The key? What was he talking about? No, I haven't said anything to her, obviously, he continued, voice dropping to a conspiratorial hiss. She's so caught up in legacy and social impact. She barely looks at the figures. It's perfect. We route seed money through those offshore shell companies, then bring it back as untraceable consulting fees. Her father, bless his trusting heart, is too busy making speeches to dig into subcontract details. He just sees the big picture, the positive press. We'll be set for life. The Wellington coffers? A gravy train, Danny, and I'm holding the ticket. A gravy train. The words echoed in the hallway. My world, built on shared values, imploded. The foundation, my family's pride, their life's work, reduced to a gravy train. I was just the key, a naive pawn, my name and connections mere tools in his scam. I didn't move. The floorboards felt cold, alien. Every memory of our life, every tender moment, replayed with a horrifying new filter. His admirable ambition now seemed predatory. His earnestness a mask. His push for larger foundation projects, claiming to maximize impact, I now realized was to maximize his illicit withdrawals. He laughed, a sharp bark that sent a shiver down my spine. Just a few more years, Danny. Let her father bring me onto the executive board, consolidate influence. Then we can cut her out entirely. She'll never know what hit her. Cut me out entirely. The phrase hung in the air, a chilling prophecy. My vision blurred, tears stinging my eyes. How could I have been so blind, so stupid? I recalled his compliments on my innate business sense. His nods about transparent governance. It was all a performance, an Oscar-worthy facade, lulling me and my family into false security. Somehow, I pulled myself together. I retreated silently, heart pounding. I picked up my bag, fumbled for my phone, and with shaking fingers, texted Scarlett, my best friend, claiming a terrible migraine, and decided to stay at a quiet airport hotel. Another lie, the first of many. I drove for hours, clutching the steering wheel, knuckles white, a cold knot of fury tightening in my stomach. I was no longer crying. I was planning. Every instance of his dedication to the foundation now screamed betrayal. He'd subtly steered conversations to expanding funds, highlighting the need for external consultants for projects. He'd even pushed for me to take a public-facing fundraising role for valuable independent exposure. I now realize this was to make me the unsuspecting face of his fraud, lending legitimacy to his schemes. I spent the next 2 days at that airport hotel. My mind raced, reconstructing our relationship through this terrifying new lens. His insistence on managing joint investments, citing superior financial acumen. His mysterious business trips, coinciding with vague consulting fee payments from foundation subentities. He always deflected specific questions about sustainable initiatives, claiming I was overthinking and needed to trust his judgment. I returned home at my scheduled time, masking panic and heartbreak. I walked in, called his name, and greeted him with a kiss. I looked into the eyes of the man who saw me as nothing but a key to his gravy train, and smiled, a cold, hollow echo of my old self. 7 days passed, 7 days of sleeping beside a man plotting my professional and financial demise, analyzing every word, every gesture, wondering how much was real, how much performance. The thought was a constant, nauseating hum. I started making subtle changes. The other day, during a casual conversation about foundation board elections, I accidentally mentioned considering a more active role in the oversight committee, which audits external contracts. I saw a flicker in his eyes, a tightening around his mouth, before he recovered with, "That's a wonderful idea, darling." His smile didn't quite reach his eyes. This morning, I left a complex financial report from another charity I advise, open on my desk. It highlighted identifying shell companies and offshore accounts. He was in my office, supposedly for a pen, when I returned. I watched him. His gaze lingered on the highlighted sections. He left quickly, saying he'd found what he needed. I've been working late, taking more private calls, especially with Loretta, my corporate lawyer best friend. I haven't told her everything, just hinted at serious professional challenges, and asked for advice on safeguarding my independent financial interests. She's perceptive, suspects more, but is patient. Yesterday, Connor asked if I felt distant. I shrugged, cited work. His face was a mask of concern, but I saw the gears turning, calculating implications. His office AC unit rattled for weeks. Connor delayed fixing it. Last night, I contacted building maintenance. When the technician arrived this morning, Connor looked baffled. I smiled. "Oh, darling, you seem so busy, I handled it." The $150 fix made Connor mentally tally wasted money, his jaw tightening. My plan is working, he's getting nervous. This afternoon, at a foundation event, he called me 19 times in an hour. When I finally called back, feigning calm, he was frantic, asking if I was okay, angry, or if something happened with my family's legal team. I played it cool, said my phone was silent, asked why he'd think anything was wrong. The silence on his end was louder than any accusation. Now I'm here, in the cold conservatory, typing. I need to confront him, but smartly. My family's legacy, reputation, and my professional future are all intertwined with his deceit. We have joint accounts, a shared investment portfolio he manages, and he holds key foundation positions thanks to me. Everything is tangled. Part of me wants to scream. Another, colder part wants to be strategic. What if I slowly withdraw my trust and support, documenting everything, letting him think all is fine as his empire crumbles? That's my plan. He lied for 4 years. I can manage a few weeks. I need sleep. Tomorrow, I'll return, kiss my husband goodnight, and plan his downfall. Edit. Connor just texted, asking about a Hamptons romantic getaway. He heard our family's yacht is there. The audacity, he wants to deepen family access. Update when I can. First update. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. Your comments gave me courage, sorry for the radio silence. I've been incredibly careful online. Connor has developed an unsettling habit of casually glancing at my phone, even picking it up to check the time. It's unsettling. It's been 21 days since I overheard my husband tell his co-conspirator, Danny, I was just a key to the Wellington Foundation's gravy train, and he planned to cut me out entirely. 21 days of sleeping next to a man systematically dismantling my family's legacy for illicit gain. 21 days of the most exhausting performance of my life. The day after my last post, I decided to be methodical. No emotional outbursts, no premature confrontations until his fraud was laid bare. I made a list. Secure my professional standing, gather irrefutable evidence of his malfeasance, ascertain the depth of his deception, prepare an exit strategy, and quietly build a support network without revealing the full betrayal yet. First, I called my independent financial advisor, Mr. Bradshaw, who handles my personal investments in grandmother's trust. I beefed up security, changed passwords, added multi-factor authentication, and explicitly forbade sharing info with Connor. Then I began a quiet audit of Foundation's sustainable initiatives led by Connor. Nothing overt, just cross-referencing reports, asking innocent questions, expressing academic interest. It was like peeling an onion, the stench overwhelming. The Hamptons reconnection trip Connor suggested? I agreed, but steered us to a quieter inn, not our family's yacht. He recovered quickly with a "whatever makes you happy, darling." But I saw his calculated disappointment. Everything makes sense. He pushed grand foundation projects when my family's name covered costs, but became budget-conscious personally, especially if it meant diverting funds from clandestine activities. The Hamptons trip was revealing. The inn's Wi-Fi was unreliable. Connor spent the weekend glued to his phone, complaining. He wandered onto the beach for signal. I casually joined him, admiring the sunset, and overheard him telling someone furiously he was going crazy being cut off and would make up for lost time back in the city. Who was he talking to? What would he make up for? Sunday night, he immediately announced he needed to run to the office for urgent paperwork. He was gone over 3 hours for a 15-minute drive. Our joint credit card app showed no office supply charge, but a significant one from a private, upscale bar known for discreet meetings. During the trip, I accidentally mentioned my father considered stepping back from advisory roles to explore personal passions. A fabrication. Connor spent the next hour peppering me with detailed questions about Dad's plans, the Foundation's future leadership, and my changing role. Barely a word about Dad's fictional passions. It was like watching someone rip off their mask, revealing bare, hungry ambition. I've been digging through the Foundation's deeper ledgers. What I found made me physically sick. Over 3 years, Connor, via shell companies and consulting firms linked to Danny, diverted nearly $350,000 from Foundation project funds for unforeseen expenses and strategic investments. Money never returned unaccounted for, large transfers before his business trips to offshore locations suggest he's building something or supporting someone I don't know about. Last week, during his squash game, I went through his private study. In a false bottom of a humidor, I found a burner tablet, encrypted with an untraceable IP password protected. He'd foolishly written the code on a framed photo of us. The tablet had one contact. D. Dozens of encrypted messages detailed financial transactions, timelines for consolidating Foundation influence, and offshore shell company schematics. One message from 6 months ago said, "Just 2 more years and we're officially untouchable. The Wellingtons will never see it coming." 2 more years until what? I took pictures, meticulously replacing the tablet. The psychological warfare is the strangest part. I've been subtly altering my behavior, less effusive about his brilliant ideas, taking more private calls for my own projects, mentioning conversations with Mr. Bradshaw, our family counsel. Nothing confrontational, just different. And Connor is losing it. 3 nights ago, he went through my personal files in my home office while I showered. I know because he left a rare first edition of my grandfather's journals, which I keep in precise order, slightly ajar. When I noticed, I said nothing, calmly rearranging it while he watched from bed, pretending to be engrossed in a financial news app. Yesterday, I found him scrolling through my iPad's browser history while I made dinner. I'd intentionally left searches for signs of corporate fraud, uncovering shell companies, and legal implications of spousal financial deception. When I walked in, he practically threw the iPad onto the couch, rambling about my intellectual curiosity. Though he looked like a cornered animal, the Foundation's new youth mentorship program, a pet project of his, had budget overruns for months. Connor always claimed he was on top of it. Yesterday, I casually suggested an external auditor to streamline operations and ensure transparency. He immediately went into overdrive, finding innovative solutions and cost-cutting measures, redoing project budgets he'd put off for months. The mentorship program's financial discrepancies were suddenly getting fixed. It's like watching someone frantically prove their value before the axe falls. I now have weekly lunches with Loretta, my best friend since college and the only person I've told everything. She was shocked, then furious, and is now my co-conspirator. She helped me set up an encrypted communication channel and suggested meticulously documenting everything, cross-referencing his digital footprints with public records. Last Tuesday, I was working late. Actually, poring over old foundation records with Loretta in a university library. Connor showed up unannounced with an elaborate charcuterie board. He's never done this, he claimed he was just missing me. But spent the dinner interrogating me about a call he'd overheard with Loretta, where I mentioned major structural changes and uncovering historical patterns. The call was from my independent board review of another nonprofit, but he doesn't know that. Then came the 19 calls incident. I now realize the trigger. That morning, I'd left printouts from the Foundation's internal audit report on my desk, detailing the youth mentorship program's budget overruns and suspicious consulting fees to Danny's shell companies. I hadn't confronted him, just left them. That evening, the papers were shifted, he'd seen them, panicked, and bombarded me with calls. When I finally called back after the 19th call, our conversation went like this. Me. Hey, what's the emergency? My phone was silent during the keynote. Connor, breathing heavily. No emergency, just, is everything okay with you? With us. You've been different since the retreat. Me, different how? Connor. Distant, and you've been taking private calls, and you mentioned your dad, exploring personal passions. I'm worried about you. He slipped in concern about my father's personal passions, his potential disengagement from the Foundation, between fake concern for me, classic Connor move. Me. Everything's fine, just busy with independent advisory work. Why would anything be wrong? The long silence made me think the call dropped. Connor. No reason, I love you, that's all. Me, I love you too. The biggest lie I'd ever told. After we hung up, I cried for an hour, mourning the genuine partnership I thought I had. That Connor doesn't exist. He's a character played by a man who sees me as a stepping stone to a fortune. Last night, he suggested a new ambitious capital campaign, putting him in charge of massive investments. When I asked why the urgency, he stammered about seizing opportunities and expanding impact globally. Translation. He's panicking, cementing his position before I expose him. I smiled. Sounds interesting, darling, but maybe we should review existing project budgets first, ensure transparency. Relief flashed on his face, quickly replaced by frustration. He doesn't know I've spoken to Loretta's recommended corporate fraud lawyer, or that I have an appointment next week to discuss Foundation options regarding his consulting fees and shell companies. I've documented discrepancies. I've secured important personal documents and family archives at Scarlet Studio for an inspiration photo shoot. Another lie I learned from the master. This morning, preparing for a board meeting, Connor hugged me in the bathroom and cried, saying he felt losing me. For a second, I almost confronted him, but remembering his overheard conversation, him laughing about cutting me out entirely, I patted his arm, saying I was just busy with Foundation work. His tears dried remarkably quickly when I mentioned postponing his application for the National Philanthropy Award my father was sponsoring, due to scheduling conflicts with my expanded independent advisory roles. Funny how his emotional crisis evaporated at the mention of a professional opportunity. Slipping away. The confrontation is coming. I'm almost ready, but I want him to sweat more, feel the ground shifting without understanding why. I want him to experience a fraction of the uncertainty and betrayal I've felt. Petty? Maybe, but when someone shatters your reality and threatens your family's legacy, you're entitled to some pettiness. Edit. No kids, thankfully. Connor always had just one more project before starting a family. I now realize that one more thing was consolidating enough influence to leave with substantial Foundation funds. Edit 2. Connor just texted, asking for a strategy session with my parents this weekend about the Foundation's long-term vision. He says he misses their input. I bet he does. Second update. Hey y'all, it's been about a month since my last update, and much has happened. Thank you for your support and advice. I've read every comment, even questioning my methods myself. Picking up, after discovering Connor siphoned funds from the Wellington Foundation, exploiting my family's name and connections, I spent weeks quietly gathering info and preparing my exit strategy. I planned to confront him once everything was in order, but life had other plans. Remember that strategy session at my parents' house Connor was so eager for? We went last weekend. It was enlightening. Connor was in full charm mode, complimenting my mom's plants, asking my dad about the Foundation's investment portfolio, even offering to help Scarlett with her studio lighting. To anyone watching, he was the perfect son-in-law, an invaluable asset. But now, I saw the calculation behind every interaction, every performative gesture. During dinner, Connor casually mentioned researching foundation expansion into emerging markets, specifically a region my dad always wanted a presence in. My dad, ever the visionary, immediately spoke of rising property values and partnerships there. Connor's eyes lit up, like a jackpot. That night, I found him on our shared tablet, not looking at foundation reports, but at obscure, high-risk investments in that region, outside our ethical guidelines. When I asked how the foundation could afford such speculative ventures, he smiled and said my dad mentioned exploring innovative funding models. My dad had said nothing of the sort. The next morning, I met Loretta's lawyer, Mr. Lucas. He was amazing, direct, supportive, thorough. He helped me understand the foundation's professional and legal actions against Connor, and what Connor might claim regarding intellectual property or sweat equity. Good news. Our prenup focused on personal assets, protected my future. Independent earnings. Better news. Loretta's financial forensics revealed corporate malfeasance that could invalidate Connor's claims against foundation assets or past salaries. While I met Mr. Lucas, Connor had a meltdown at home. I'd accidentally left my laptop open, displaying an article on whistleblower protections against corporate fraud. Part of my strategy. When I got home, Connor prepared an elaborate meal. My favorite Thai curry, candlelight. He tried hard to be charming, but desperation edged his every move. His hands shook pouring wine during dinner. He kept dropping bizarre comments about loving our professional partnership at the foundation, being grateful for my unwavering support, and never being more professionally fulfilled. It was like watching someone perform a role they hadn't quite learned. Then came the bombshell. He suggested a joint venture, a new independent philanthropic initiative, personally managed by us, to truly make a difference beyond traditional foundation governance. This from the man who delayed transparent oversight of his own projects for 2 years. I nearly choked. I asked why the sudden change, why an independent venture. Connor gave a rehearsed speech about realizing what matters in personal legacy and being ready for our shared philanthropic journey. He got teary-eyed, y'all Oscar-worthy. I smiled. That's quite a coincidence. I've been thinking about our future, too. Hope flashed across his face, almost sad. I continued. In fact, I've been reflecting a lot on the integrity of our professional partnership since I returned from that leadership retreat. Hope vanished, replaced by raw panic. He reached for his wine glass so quickly he nearly knocked it over. He asked what kind of reflecty.